books. Should just take a minute. I'm very excited to be here. I can't believe we're over the hump. We are on our way down at the end of this week. It's Thursday already, day 4.
Good morning.
Oh, hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I was just streaming this over to Facebook.
I'm going to shut my blinds.
It's working. Refresh. Yeah, I never know if I'm going to have people show up or not. I always love it when they do. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't realize about the time change yesterday. Sorry.
Yeah, surprise. Okay. Part of that was to give people who have different schedules an opportunity to join if they can.
Makes sense.
And then the other part of that was that I have appointments and I have things that I need to do.
What? That's not allowed.
I know, crazy. All right. Well, welcome. Today is day 4 already. I can't believe it. Let me just change this view for a minute. Let's see. Okay. Zoom does things differently every time.
Oh, well. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself.
Okay, that sounds great. All right. Well, here we are at day 4. And what we're going to talk about is how do you know if what you're doing is working? And I'm going to start by saying or repeating something that I said yesterday, which is that your current results, where you are in your life right now, is a result of all of your past thinking. So the first thing that you can do is just take a look around. How are things? Are they the way you want them to be? Is your life perfect? Is it filled with happiness and fulfillment and rest and abundance and relaxation? And if it's not, I'm going to posture that you have some thoughts that are either in your way or that you're not willing to face. You might have some limiting beliefs that you need to explore and get over. And I have found that in most cases, the 3 most common obstacles that people believe are they don't have enough time, they don't have enough money, and they don't have enough spouse. No, they don't have enough support. And that could be from a spouse or a parent or a child or a friend or anything like that. So one of the things that you can do is literally just, again, increase your awareness of what you are thinking. Write a list. What do you believe about your time? What do you believe about your money? What do you believe about the people in your life? And then really ask yourself, is it true? And could you think something differently to start to feel better about your situation or to change something in your life? Because things will continue to stay the same because we have a habit of thinking the same thoughts over and over and over. So something just popped into my head about what I wanted to say. Oh yeah, when I and I've had all of these and continue to have a lot of these mind drama occurrences in my, oh, hey, Katrina. Thanks for joining us. I get wrapped up in this mind drama too, right? Like we constantly have to practice our thoughts. And so like when I have my own coach and we'll talk about things and she'll say, I'll mention something that evidently I had mentioned 2 weeks earlier. And she's like, well, why haven't you done that? I'm like, my first reaction is I don't have enough time. I'm busy. But that's not the truth. The truth is that I'm not prioritizing my time. I am putting other things ahead of what I said I was going to do. And of course, that thing hasn't changed. Of course, I haven't done it. I haven't prioritized it. So that's one thing. Is just look around, explore what you are thinking, and see if they are actually true. The other thing, which I find of an amazing value, is okay, let's say you've explored your thoughts. Let's say that you have an intention and you believe you can do it, you've decided you're going to go for it, and then you take action. The best thing that you can do is to ask yourself 3 questions about that action that you took. The first one is, what worked? What went well when I took that step? Number 2, what didn't work? And number 3, what could I do better, or what could I do differently next time? And these are incredibly valuable questions. And really, that's the extent of this entire lesson. So it may not be all that long, but let me suggest that you can do that with anything. You can do that with a conversation a difficult conversation that you have to have with an employee or with a family member. You may go in with an intention that you need to speak your mind, and then the whole thing blows up and you get into an argument and you're like, oh my God, that was the worst thing ever. But was it? Like, what went well? You spoke up, right? Maybe you've never done that before. So that is something amazing. Maybe like 24 hours later, they come back and say, something that you said, like, finally stuck. Like, I think you're right. Like, that would be amazing, right? Or maybe, if you're thinking about what didn't work, oh, I lost my temper. Oh, I really reacted rather than staying in my space or in my peaceful space. And then what could I have done differently? I really could have prepared for the conversation better. I could have, maybe meditated before, if that's something that you do, or gone for a walk, or what could you have done afterwards to cool down, those kind of things. And the reason why we ask these questions is literally to collect data. It's not to be judgmental. It's really to say, what did I learn from this experience? And how can I change? This is, I think, one of the best ways that we can really gain insight about what's actually happening. Collect the data, learn something from it. And then the other thing that works really well for me is that hold on to the data and then you go back and look at it over time. So let me give you an example. I use this process. I ask these questions to myself at the end of every single month in relationship to my business. What did I do well? What didn't go so well? And what could I do better or differently next time? So I started this in June of this year, and now I have 3 months. And I was, for the first time, looking at all 3 months last night, and I was like, oh, look at all those things that worked that I had totally forgotten, right? So when you document your data and you go back and you see all of the amazing things that you did, that just makes you feel really good, because by default, we tend to think about all the things that we didn't do and all the bad stuff. So when I look back in June, I worked with 10 women all month long, and they got amazing results. I had such a good time. It was actually over a 6-week period that I made this offer for this particular program, and it was amazing. And I'd oh yeah, I forgot I did that. I also created a webinar. I figured out how to do the Zoom broadcast. I did some Facebook Live videos for the first time. I had 362 views on one of them. I was oh yeah, that did work really well. Let's see, I had 2 consultations and I closed them both. I'm yes. like reliving this was just so amazing. I'm like, I loved it. And so then I remembered, what didn't work. Well, I'd put out I'd offered a webinar and only 2 people registered. And that was kind of like, womp, womp, womp. And I got discouraged and I got frustrated. And I kind of lost my mojo during some of it, like keeping up my energy. And then when I look at like, oh, well, what could I do better? It doesn't matter how many people show up. Like, I want to show up and serve no matter if there's 0 people or if there's 30 people. Like, I can do that better next time. So that was really fun to look at. Let's see, what else? I put out a post like, hey, I need some ideas for free training. What do you guys, people who follow me, what are you interested in? I got nothing. But again, I asked myself the question, what's the worst thing that happened? Nobody responded. Can I handle it? Yeah, it's okay, right? Does that mean I'm never going to ask a question? No. Maybe I ask a better question, a more engaging question. Maybe I reach out differently. So that was fun to look at. In July, I launched 2 book clubs on the same book. I did an online version and I did an in-person version. And I love this idea. And it was a book called The Soul of Money that I was really wanting to talk to other people about. And I didn't know anyone else who was reading it. So I'm like, I'm just going to start this thing. Maybe people will show up. Maybe I will find people who want to talk about it with me. And so I put that offer out there, and that was a lot of fun. I attended lots of networking events in my community. I hired a bookkeeper to help me with keeping track of all my transactions because I just put it off. I'm not good at that. So I had a photo shoot. That was fun. Okay, so what didn't work? The online book club was a bust. Like, I had tons of people, when I say tons, like 25 people sign up and register. The first night, because this was over a 3-week period, it was a 3-week book club. The first night I had about 10 people show up. I'm like, okay, this is great. This is awesome. The second week, I had nobody show up. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then the third week, I had one person show up who was in my business mastermind, and we ended up just talking about our businesses and not about our books. So that, I learned something from that. People aren't going to engage online week after week with a book. Now, on the other hand, my in-person book club, I had 6 to 8 women attend every single week. They weren't always the same women. Some could attend some days and some couldn't. And then when we were done, everyone who had participated said, when's the next book? And I was like, oh, I guess this is a thing. So in fact, we're meeting on the second book today at noon, downtown Bangor, when we're talking about Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown. Such a good book if you guys haven't read it. Katrina, are you coming? You're giving me thumbs up. Or you...
I was on mute because I was eating and I'm on an iPad. And then some customers came to the counter, so I had to like run out of the room.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Because the counter person like disappeared. So I am not coming, but it's awesome that your book club is going well.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited. Super excited. I just realized my AirPods weren't working. Can you guys hear me? I seem to do this every time. Like, oh, they're not working. Oh well. I guess I could take them out of my ears then.
Okay, so I decided if I was ever going to do an online book club again, I would probably just do it for one session. I'm not going to do it week after week, or I'm not going to do it at all. And I mean, I could tell you about my August too, but I mean, the whole point is that you just ask these 3 questions, you collect data. It's either something's either working really well or something isn't, and then you just pivot. And it doesn't mean that you have to give up. It just means that you do something different. And so often we want to just stop. And again, that goes back to that discomfort. Yesterday, So how do you know if things are working? You look around at your current life, you try something, you evaluate, and then you try something else. And over time, getting a frog in my throat. Over time, you get more wisdom, you gain more experience, you get closer and closer and closer to whatever it is that you want, whatever that goal is. Anyone have any questions? Any thoughts? Have you ever done this before? Love to hear something. Love to hear from you.
I just unmuted myself, so now I should say something, right?
You don't have to.
No, I think it's great to not just throw out the whole thing, but to look at what you can do better and change it to maybe make it better. And that's sort of something that I've come across a lot in just business focused stuff is, you start with, and actually that podcast that you sent me last week, you just want a B-, right? You're not looking for an A when you do it. You just B-, and if you get the B- out, you can tweak it later. And that is something that I definitely am trying to do a lot more of. Like, just get it out. It's not going to be perfect. That's okay. But doing something is better than doing nothing in most cases. And, sometimes your B- is better than a lot of other people's A's anyway. So get it out there. People are going to give you feedback because the way you think about something isn't always the way the world does. And then you can make adjustments. But I don't think thinking you're going to nail it on the first try is pretty unrealistic.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And just for a little bit of context, what Katrina and I were talking about is that in so many cases, we feel like we can't put something out into the world until it's perfect. Like, we get held up by our own vision of perfection, and we know we might be able to do something better, and so we never put it out there. But there's a woman named Brooke Castillo who is a master life coach and who I follow, and I have all of her training, and she's like, B- is okay. Like, get it out into the world. It's better than B- is better than, no, that's not what she says. Done is better than perfect, right?
We just wrote a blog post about that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, a couple weeks ago, because I apparently need to learn that lesson a million times.
So in what way? Give us an example.
Just, Heather and I started a podcast a couple months ago, and, same kind of thing. At first, it took us forever to get started because we thought we had to have all our ducks in a row. And then we're just like, let's just do it. The people who are going to follow us are going to realize that it's never going to be perfect. So just get it out there and it'll be funny and whatever. And so just that kind of thing. And it's funny how much this is ingrained in my professional life about lessons learned after any type of activity. We do a big review, but I always forget about it in my personal life. Yeah. And I don't know why.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, these aren't my questions. They've been in the world forever.
Right.
I guess it's the first time that I've consistently been doing it and collecting the data, and like looking back over time, you can see growth.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should start doing that.
Yeah, I was so glad that I held on to them. And like, now that they're precious to me. Because a year from now, right, when things are way different, I'm going to have forgotten both the struggles and the amazing things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of podcasts, I have a friend. I don't know if do you know Lynn Owens?
Say again. I'm sorry, I can't.
Lynn Owens. She was supposed to have been at that Denver workshop that we went
to. Okay.
She had been a part of Cassie's year-long program with me, but she had an emergency. Anyway, she and I are doing a podcast.
Yay!
First episode last week. It's called the Possibility Podcast. And it's like, we're doing the same thing. Like, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're going to record it and we're going to upload it. Maybe people will listen.
Is it uploaded yet?
Not yet. No,
okay.
I'm stuck. I have a little mind drama about creating an intro and an outro. And that's where
So that was one of our things. And then we didn't have music. So for the first like 6 or so weeks, we didn't have music. We just started talking. And then we're like, okay, so yep, just publish.
I know. Yeah. That's great advice.
So that's funny that you guys are talking about podcasts, because Lisa Libertori and I started one last year that we since like totally fell off on. But we took that, you know, one day we're just sitting next to each other, and if you know Lisa, you know that she's just very, let's do it. And I'm like, have a lot of ideas, but the let's do it part isn't always, it's like not as developed as Lisa's let's do it. So we're just like, let's just do this. And we just started, like, we recorded one in my house, a couple at Covert. We've done some like sitting in a car watching my son play Little League. And it's always come out. We find, like, at first we're like, oh, maybe we need to make this whole plan of like what exactly the subject should be. And like, then what we found was that the best way was to just kind of generally, like, for 5 or 10 minutes, talk about what exactly do we want to talk, like, what's the topic? What do we want to talk about? And let's just go, because we know each other well. We both have like a variety of interests. So usually we would have like really awesome discussions, and same kind of thing. We just figured, well, you know, we'll just put it out there. But we did get pretty good at editing out ums and ahs.
Yeah.
Which chop off so much of the conversation, because it's amazing how much those little vocal tics, which I think is an interesting thing to listen to yourself and realize how much you insert them into conversation. But I'm doing it right now. See? It was so fun just to jump, you know, sort of like jump off the cliff and just try it. And we had to learn the software, but we actually did end up doing an intro and a closing, not with music, because we didn't quite figure that piece out, because you have to think about copyright and where do you get the music.
Exactly.
Google has a ton of free music.
Awesome. Good to know. Mm-hmm. So if we start doing it again, we'll have to.
I'll send you the link, Jennifer.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I had found this kid this summer who's looking for like extra work, home for summer in the college, from college, and this is like his jam. And we communicated, but then my friend and I just weren't ready. But he does like production and stuff like that. And so I did email him yesterday, and I said, we're just gonna keep this simple. We're just gonna record an anchor, but if you could help us do an intro and outro with music, that would be cool. And I haven't heard from him. So if that doesn't pan out, I'll definitely check out the music. That sounds fun. And then did you create it yourself?
The music? No, I took some of the free music and then I just, chopped it. And then I actually learned how to do like the fade out, fade in so that I could figure out. So it wasn't so, here's the end of the song. And now we're talking. So it was kind of fun to learn. It was frustrating at first, of course, but it was fun.
Yeah. So we recorded one 2 weeks ago, and we listened to it. And we're like, that's terrible. So we're not putting that one out.
It's probably not. It's probably fun.
I know. And then we felt much better on this last one. But Katrina, we're doing the same thing. We kind of like planned it out. We're like, okay, this is when you're going to say this. And so I'll have to go back and look and see, does it sound natural or does it sound like stupid?
The ones that we've scripted sound scripted, and they sound like we're reading. And so now we've gone to just like bullets.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's a really great podcast produced by someone locally, so I'm not going to name names. And he has great content, but he reads off of it like this, and it's really hard. It's so difficult to listen. Like, the content is actually good, but you can tell he like clearly is reading a script, and I don't know whether he had gotten some information that is like how people auditorily process things, but it's so I did a couple of guest spots with him, and it's so painful for me to listen to the beginning part of the podcast, but I force myself to because I'm in the podcast later on. So it is really interesting, like that the less scripted I think that you are, and the more that it's like you have a general idea, you've researched whatever it is, or you've like kind of just talked about it beforehand. The podcast sounds much better than if you just like read off of a script.
Yeah.
That it makes so much sense, really. Because you just have that insecurity in the beginning, right?
Yeah. You don't want to forget anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what the next podcast is for.
Right.
I know. In fact, I've done that with this training. I'm like, oh, I meant to say something yesterday, so I'll just say it at the beginning of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been able to iterate this class kind of on the fly. Like in the first couple of days, I wasn't streaming it into Facebook, and so people had to either get my email and click on the link or remember to go into the group, right? Because Facebook does a terrible job now notifying when things are posted in a group. And I get that. But now that I stream it, like people are getting notified in advance that it's coming. And then
yeah, I did notice that. Like the first couple, I was like, wait, it already happened? And then yesterday, so
That
like,
was yesterday, yeah.
I was like, okay, I got to go into the group and actually like join all these meeting times. Cause I was like, how do I know what time it is? Cause like I joined the group and I was like, all right, this is exciting. And then I'm like, wait a minute, how did it already happen? Like I had no idea. So it is interesting the ways that Facebook though changes notifications and how that all works. So
yeah. And then I sent out a reminder, or after yesterday, or after the first 2 broadcasts, I sent an email. I'm like, okay, the replay is available, but I didn't say anything about what it was about, why you would want to watch it. Of course, no one's going to click on it. So I did it differently yesterday.
yeah,
Iterate as we go, and that's how. And then you just make it better.
And done is better than perfect.
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Here.
Cool.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.